You've probably heard the name Bumpy Johnson, right? And the first word that pops into your head is likely gangster. But the real story, the one buried under all the official reports, is so much more complicated. He was a protector, a kingmaker, and the enforcer of a brutal, unwritten code in a city that had turned its back on his people.
And that quote? That's really what this is all about. You see, the official reports, they're always neat and tidy. Case closed. But the truth of what was really happening on the streets of Harlem during Bumpy Johnson's time? Well, that was messy, it was violent, and it was driven by a need for a kind of justice that the system simply refused to deliver.
So what's with the number 6? Well, that's how many men murdered William Big Willie Jackson. And Willie, man, he wasn't just Bumpy's friend. He was a decorated World War II hero, a guy who earned a Bronze Star for saving American lives in Italy. He was the only man Bumpy ever called brother.
And what Bumpy did to those 6 men, that's the core of what we're talking about today. It's the story of his law, an unwritten code of absolute eye-for-an-eye retaliation that kicked in when the official law just looked away. This was the price for touching his family, and to Bumpy, all of Harlem was his family. The legend really kicks off with an act of just chilling, symmetrical revenge. After his friend Willie Jackson was brutally murdered, dragged behind a truck for 3 miles, Bumpy didn't just hunt down the 6 men who did it. No, he made them suffer the exact same fate. It was a message, written in blood, for the entire city to see.
Okay, but to really get why someone would do something that brutal, we have to understand the world he was living in. This wasn't just about crime for crime's sake. This was about survival. Back in the 1930s and 40s, Harlem was like a kingdom under constant attack, and the system of justice wasn't just failing them, it was basically the enemy.
I mean, just look at this. On one side, you have the promise of America. On the other, the brutal reality for black folks in Harlem. A war hero like Willie Jackson comes home, and what happens? His medals get trampled into the dirt. A worker like Henry Brown asks for fair pay, and he gets tortured for it. And when they get murdered, the police file says, case closed in 4 hours. That was the system they were up against.
And it wasn't just a broken system. The threats were coming from everywhere. You know, we think of the KKK as a Southern thing, right? Nope. They had a cell in the Bronx responsible for at least 11 murders, all covered up. The Irish mob treated people on the subway like easy prey. The Italian mafia was pumping heroin onto the streets. And the people who were supposed to protect them? The cops just slapped a gang violence label on it all to avoid investigating.
So here's the thing you have to understand. In this total vacuum, where the law is your enemy and predators are circling, Bumpy Johnson didn't just build a criminal empire. No, he established his own system of justice. It was brutal, yeah, but it was ruthlessly consistent.
He called it the Harlem Way. And the rules were dead simple. Number 1, absolute retaliation. What you do to one of us will be done right back to you, down to the last detail. Number 2, protection of the community. Inside these borders, our people are safe. And number 3, an uncompromising defense of black dignity. Disrespect was a death sentence.
And if you want to see that last principle in action, let's go right back to Willie Jackson. See, this wasn't just about a murder. When the killers stomped on his Bronze Star, a medal he earned saving 17 American lives, they were basically saying that a black man's courage, his sacrifice, his dignity meant nothing. And for Bumpy, that was a line you just did not cross.
And this is where you see that first principle, absolute retaliation, come to life in the most terrifying way. Bumpy's revenge wasn't just about killing them. It had to be a perfect mirror image of their crime. He found the same truck. He got 6 ropes. He drove the same 3-mile route. It was a public execution, a lesson.
And you know what? It worked. It was brutal, for sure, but it absolutely worked. That single horrifying act drew a line in the sand. For the next 2 decades, Harlem was Bumpy's territory. Message received, this kingdom has a protector.
But Bumpy's code wasn't just about protecting his turf. It was about protecting black dignity wherever it was threatened. Take, for example, a young, rising boxer named Cassius Clay. The Genovese crime family, one of the biggest in New York, tried to control him, using a secret FBI tape to blackmail him. And their message was designed to put him in his place. They called him Boy.
So Bumpy, literally just out of Alcatraz, hears about this. And does he hesitate? Not for a second. He declared all-out war on the entire Genovese family. He personally led a raid on their safe house, got that blackmail tape, and burned it.
He made sure Cassius Clay could become Muhammad Ali on his own terms.
And look, this wasn't just about protecting future legends. It was for everyday people too. His wife, Mamie, was being harassed on a subway train by some Irish mobsters. And another World War II vet, a man named Sam Price, stood up for her. All he said was, let her go. And for that simple act of decency, they stabbed him and killed him right there on the train.
Bumpy's response to this didn't just get revenge. It literally redrew the criminal map of New York City. He didn't kill the men responsible. No, he tracked down their entire crew and their boss and systematically shattered the knees of all 7 of them with a baseball bat. He crippled them. Then he forced their leader to acknowledge Harlem was untouchable, sending a message to every other gang in the city.
So all of this, it brings us to the big question, right? Were these acts of justice, or was this just revenge? Was he a community protector delivering the only justice his people could get, or was he a crime lord settling personal scores? The line gets real blurry, but the outcomes? Well, the outcomes were crystal clear. I mean, just look at this side-by-side comparison. It's stark. The KKK murders a man, the police call it gang violence. Bumpy's justice? The entire KKK cell is executed. The mob blackmails a future champion using an FBI tape. Bumpy burns the tape. You see the pattern here? In every single instance where the official system failed, the Harlem way delivered a definitive, if terrifying, result.
So who was he, really? He was a gangster, no doubt about it. He profited from crime. But he was also a kingmaker who helped ensure Muhammad Ali's freedom. And, to the people of Harlem who had no one else in their corner, he was, above all else, a protector. It's like he used the tools of a criminal to provide the security of a king.
You know, at Willie Jackson's funeral, the Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr. said something that just nails it. He wasn't condoning the violence, not at all, but he was acknowledging a fundamental truth. Bumpy Johnson stepped into the void left by a failed system and simply said, no more.
And so that's the question Bumpy's life really leaves us with. And it's not an easy one. In a world where justice isn't a guarantee for everybody, where the very system that's supposed to protect you is the one holding you down, what's the real difference between justice and revenge? And is it possible that sometimes they might actually be one and the same?